Let's talk about it. This Spurs team just beat the Timberwolves at home by 38 points. They won game 2. Series is now tied 1-1. They kept this Timberwolves team under 100 points. Final score being 133-95. I don't even remember the last time the Timberwolves were under 100 points. It wasn't in the playoffs this year. It had to be sometime in February, which is actually insane. This team came out aggressive, attacking, playing amazing defense. After their loss in game 1, they said they would come out and be better.
We need to figure out before 48 hours what we can do better. And I got no doubt that we will. I mean, I trust us.
And that's exactly what they did. They came out and delivered. You have these young guards who are able to play both sides of the ball. And yeah, this game, even though it was a blowout, it really showed us what they're capable of doing. And don't count them out. Don't, underestimate this team because they played so well tonight. Let's talk about the first quarter, which I think both teams played horribly in. It wasn't really that great of a first quarter outside of De'Aaron Fox and outside of Rudy Gobert. Let's talk about De'Aaron Fox first, which I think was a completely different player in game 2 compared to game 1. This first quarter, he scored 9 points. He came out aggressive. He came out attacking. He came out playing defense. In the first half of game 1, he went scoreless. He scored 0 points. He ended the first half of game 2 with 14 points. He really set the tone for the Spurs team offensively. He had an amazing game. And yeah, that's what the Spurs needed, honestly, going into game 2. And he did exactly just that. And you have Rudy Gobert on first quarter as well, playing great defense on Wemby. He has 6 boards. But outside of those 2 players, I think the rest of the team didn't play as effectively as they could have on either side of the ball, just chucking up shots. Both teams, 9 minutes in, were 0 for 6 from the 3-point line. It wasn't until, I believe, the 2-minute mark where Rudy Gobert set a screen on Harper for Anthony Edwards to knock down a 3. And then De'Aaron Fox responded with a 3 as well on the other end. But outside of that, it wasn't that great of a first quarter. They were pretty much neck and neck the whole time. The Spurs did end the first quarter being up by 7 points. But at that point in the game, it looked like it can go either way for either team. This Spurs team, going into the second quarter, absolutely dominated. They came out there playing insane defense, and that's exactly what this team needed to create that separation, continue on the lead, not only get the lead, but sustain it as well throughout the course of this game. Timberwolves were just playing catch up at that point, and they can never really catch up, and they tried, but they didn't really try their best. I feel like the Spurs knew in the first quarter they weren't really playing to their fullest potential. And then they came out in the second quarter absolutely dominating. They started double teaming Anthony Edwards, keeping him off the ball. If he did get the ball, they were forcing him to give up the ball. And the Timberwolves had no answer to that. They had no one on the offensive side who was able to step up and score or be aggressive in the paint. They kept everyone on that roster under 12 points and under. No one on that team scored over 12 points tonight. Edwards had 12, McDaniels had 12, TJ Shannon had 12, Julius Randle had 12, Naz Reid, I believe, had 11 points. No one scored over 12 points. They kept this team under 100 points tonight, and you have to give credit to that Spurs team for coming out in the second quarter and being dominant. This Spurs team scored 35 points in the second quarter alone. That's how many points in total this Timberwolves team scored going into the half, which is absolutely insane to say. I feel like the Spurs team's offense in the second and third quarter was amazing. The lack of defense from the Timberwolves side was very much prevalent. There were so many times where they were not hustling back. You allowed the Spurs to score 29 points off of fast breaks and transition layups. There were so many moments in the second and third quarter where the Spurs would get a rebound, look down the court, they already have a guard down there who hustled his way back. All it takes is a long pass for a quick, easy layup, and that's exactly what they did. Now you have a Timberwolves, player hustling his way back down the court, and now you got a foul. You're sending the Spurs team to the line for easy points, and it was just what is going on? Hustle back. The lack of defense was actually irritating me throughout this game. And it was they were acting like they weren't down 20, they weren't down 30. It's just how far does it need to get for you guys to actually start playing some sort of defense? Once the Spurs got that lead, the Timberwolves could not recover, honestly, after that. What was really the cherry on top to this game being over is when Sham Penny in the third quarter, who hasn't scored all night, by the way, comes in, hits a corner 3, hustles back on defense, gets that block on Anthony Edwards. Crowd goes crazy, by the way. And then you have Randall, who has the ball now. De'Aaron Fox gets the steal. Then he could have got an easy layup. Instead, he waits, he's patient, waits for Sham Penny to set his feet, and then hits another 3, back-to-back threes, which is actually insane. I was like, yeah, this game is pretty much over. And then you have Wemby, who hits a 3 himself. And then, the lead now increases to 38 points. Game over. Game is pretty much over. And then now going into the fourth quarter, The lead was like 44 points at one point, I believe. Could have been higher. I don't remember. But yeah, game was pretty much over at that point. Now both teams are headed to Minnesota for game 3. And for a series that gave us such an amazing game 1, a thriller, such a close game, this series just got a little bit more interesting after tonight. I said that if Timberwolves were able to close out game 2 on the road, this series is theirs. They got it. But this Spurs team really came out and played amazing basketball on both sides of the ball. They have a young roster. They have young guards who are able to defend, who are able to play offense, who are able to attack the basket. And that's exactly what they did tonight. They proved that they belong here in the playoffs. Majority of them don't have playoff experience, but they're playing like they've been there before, and it's amazing to win. It's an amazing to watch. I believe this team, even if they don't make it all the way to the finals, they will win a championship soon, and I don't doubt them for that. But you guys, this Spurs team came out amazing, amazing basketball. You have Harper, who's a rookie. You have Castle, who won, rookie of the year last year. You have Wemby, defensive player of the year, just playing amazing basketball. Overall, as a team, collectively, you have De'Aaron Fox stepping up, who has playoff experience. You have Harrison Barnes, who has playoff experience. But outside of them, majority of this team, this is their first time into the postseason. So seeing how effectively they're playing is just great to watch. But then you have to think about the Timberwolves team, who has been, underestimated every single year. Every single year, this team is, predicted to not make it farther than they actually do, against the Lakers, against the Nuggets, against the Suns. Like, they do it every single time. And are we going to witness it again this year? I don't know. But this team is not one to underestimate. Even though they look like they're not playing as great of basketball throughout the regular season, they come into the playoffs dominating. So yeah, this is going to be a great series, and whoever advances forward, props to them, because this is going to be an amazing matchup, y'all. Now let's talk about the New York Knicks versus the Philadelphia 76ers. The final score was 108-102. The Knicks are now up 2-0 in this series. This is a team that a lot of people expect to make it out of the East all the way to the finals, but we'll have to see about that. They didn't have Joel Embiid on the court, so we'll see if Joel Embiid being on the court will make such a significant difference in this series. But you guys, even without Joel being on the court, this was such a close game. The 76ers just let this game slip away from them. I think they could have closed it out if it wasn't for silly turnovers, if they attacked the paint a little bit more. But yeah, this game, just they weren't able to close it out. And when you look at the shooting percentage, they were 45% from the field, 38% from the three. They made, 6 more threes than the Knicks. Knicks were 26% from the three and 50% from the field. They both made 21 free throws each. Outside of that, it was the turnovers that really killed them. The Knicks were able to capitalize off that and score 23 points off of turnovers. They were attacking the paint, 56 points in the paint. They took advantage of Joel Embiid not being there, his presence not being there, whereas the 76ers only scored 30 points in the paint. Let's talk about the first quarter. Paul George had an amazing first quarter, not just offensively, but defensively as well. He had 11 points in the first, and defensively, we've seen how consistent he's been, not just in game 2, but also throughout this whole playoffs. He's been such a great defender, so we have to give him credit for that. This 76ers team right here, when they don't have Joel Embiid on the court, they play at a completely different pace. They play fast, they play quick, they're able to get downhill, especially the duo between Tyrese Maxey and VJ Edgecombe. They play at a completely different pace compared to when Joel Embiid's on the court. They kind of slow things down. They play at his pace. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing, because he greatly impacts this team and he helps them win games. But I would like to see more of that when he's on the court. Tyrese Maxey and VJ Edgecombe, just attacking the basket, going full force, going fast, because a lot of teams can't beat them. Obviously, you have Tyrese Maxey, you have VJ Edgecombe attacking the basket, attacking the rim every chance they got. But I feel like they could have done a little bit more of that going into the second quarter, especially in the beginning when Cat gets subbed out for being in foul trouble. You take a big like him off of the court. You take someone who's able to block shots off of the court. Now you open up the floor, you open up the paint for you to drive in and attack. And I feel like I could have seen a little bit more of that in the second quarter, but I did not. Like I said previously, this game was even out throughout the whole time. The largest lead on both sides was 7 points. But going into the fourth quarter, especially down the stretch, the 76ers just started to scramble, started to become frantic, started chucking up shots, contested shots, shots where their feet wasn't set, and just making just weird looking shots. There's a point where, Paul George threw up a weird shot. They're just chucking at the basket at that point. Like, if you go back and watch this game, you'll kind of see some of those shots that I'm talking about, especially for Maxey, Paul George late into the fourth quarter. And the Knicks took advantage of that. They scored 19 points in the fourth quarter, and the 76ers scored only 12 points. But this game was pretty much neck and neck and even. And just like those last final minutes, the 76ers were really just scrambling to get up a shot and were not really getting, good open looks. And that really cost them this game. But they got game 3 back at home. Maybe Joel Embiid's going to play. I don't know. I guess it's day to day, or we don't know when he's going to be back. But you guys, let me know what your thoughts are on that game, what your thoughts are on the Timberwolves versus the Spurs game. But thank you guys for watching. Bye.